Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you, and Congressman Steve King on the line with us, ably representing the 5th District of Iowa, the Republican from Iowa. Steve King, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me on, Tom.
Or I should say, Congressman, welcome back to the program.
Well, thanks for welcoming me back, Tom.
Sure, you're welcome. You are suggesting, I understand, that English should become the official language of the United States. Do I have that right?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
That is correct. I worked 6 years to establish it the official language of the state of Iowa. We accomplished a few years ago, and I'm working on this path to establish the same policy for the entire United States of America.
I have to tell you, I'm of two minds of this, and it doesn't have to do with it being the official language. Having lived in Europe for a year and having worked in a number of, well, probably at least 15 other countries over the last 30-some-odd years, but in particular, the year that I lived in Germany, they have an official language. It's German. When I wanted to get a German driver's license, I had to fill out the form. When I wanted to get, anything, open a checking account, I had to learn German to function in Germany, and I did. And we put all our kids in the German public schools, and they all, none of their teachers, actually 2 of the 3 of them, their teachers didn't even speak English. And our oldest daughter's English teacher had never been outside Germany, and they spent the whole year arguing whether the word G-A-R-A-G-E was pronounced garage or garage. So, I actually think that having a national language is a good thing. But the flip side of that is that in Germany, by the time you're 12 years old, by the time you completed 6th grade, you're fluent in at least 3 languages. You're required to have 3 languages. In Holland, it's 4 languages. And we have nothing like that here in the United States. It seems like the benefits of learning multiple languages, particularly when kids are young, is really, really high. And the benefits of understanding multiculturalism is really high. And if we just say, okay, English is the official language, end of discussion, and don't do the rest of it, that we really are harming ourselves.
Well, I'm not bringing anything to prohibit doing the rest of it, of course, and I'm encouraging it. Multiple languages are very, very useful to us from an economic and a cultural standpoint of understanding the rest of the world. It's just that every other nation in the world has at least one official language, and an official language is a common form of communications currency, like the greenback, for example, or the euro. And I will say here in the United States, we have less demand for foreign language speakers because many people grow up and don't travel a lot. But in Europe, you don't have to travel very far before you encounter other languages. But I encourage people to learn multiple languages. We need to bring it back to one standard that we can have the communications exchange in. And we're so fortunate that it is English. But if it happened to be Swahili, I'd be for that.
Yeah, well, up in Vermont where I lived for 10 years, the signs are in English and French. Down in the Pacific or in the Southwest, where I've spent a fair amount of time, many of the street signs and things are in English and Spanish. I don't know if there's any other language, frankly, anywhere in the United States where it's not uncommon to see signs in both. But is that the kind of thing that you would just do away with? You want to at the federal level to say that the states don't have the discretion to do that? Because I think Vermont really likes those French-speaking tourists coming down there.
Well, and the French that live up that way, too, would probably object. No, I don't want to interfere with the states' rights side of this. I just want our federal functions to be conducted in English, and that our federal officials under the bill have an obligation to affirmatively promote English. But we have exceptions for public safety, health, justice, and a number of other exceptions in that way, so that we're not writing something that's so rigid that we're not trying to force square pegs into round holes or round pegs into square holes. We just want to have this common form of communications currency. And I spent my life in the contracting business, and so I think about it in these terms. If I had 2 people that entered into a contract, and one of them had an interpreted version of it that was in Vietnamese, and the other one had it in Spanish, and they come to court in the United States to resolve the disagreements that they have, how do you identify what that contract actually is? There's always something lost in translation, and nuances of contracts are one of the things we don't talk about very much. But it's an advantage to have that be in English. And so this is a very much an affirmative thing for me. And I will say also that a common language is the most powerful unifying force that civilization has known throughout all the time. I mean, that's what shaped the boundaries of the nation states, was having a common language.
Well, I think that's one of the concerns of progressives who disagree with me on this and think that we shouldn't have a common language. And that is that, well, for example, we did our show for a week from Denmark, and I got on all the senior conservative politicians. You know, I love to have conservatives on my show. And I said, you know, what do you think about this national health care program? Oh, they all loved it. I think, what do you think about paying 56% income tax? Oh, it's no problem at all. You know, the minimum wage is $18. We're doing just fine. Well, what makes you a conservative? I don't want immigrants in this country. I want the official language to be Danish. I think that only people who are genetically Danish should be allowed to be citizens. That's really what makes a conservative in Denmark. And there is a nativist movement in the United States, and ironically, it's not for the natives of this continent. It's for Anglo-Saxons, and you know, and folks like, you know, Pat Buchanan and whatnot, kind of leading that charge that our culture came from England and it has to stay that way. Isn't America really founded on the values and ideals of the Enlightenment, which are that, you know, we hold certain values, but over time, we constantly improve and we assimilate and we integrate people?
Well, America is based upon, partly on the foundation of the Age of Enlightenment, and I would emphasize the Enlightenment that came from the English-speaking side of Western Europe, as opposed to the utopianists that seem to speak other languages that were part of that Age of Enlightenment. But I'd also take us back, and Tom, in this, that we are rooted in Greek thought, the Age of Reason, the deductive and inductive reasoning foundation. We're rooted in Roman law that emerged as Old English common law, and the Republican form of government that was shaped in Rome itself, the Age of Enlightenment, the Protestant work ethic, the birth of Christ, all of that coming over to the United States in a location where we had these ultimate freedoms that come from God and unlimited natural resources, low taxes, no regulation, the perfect petri dish for a successful nation, and that's some of the components of it.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to try and take that, you know, unpack that. There was a lot there, but and some of which obviously, you know, I would disagree with. But the point is that at what point do we say, okay, our official language is English, and you know, and there may be some things that we'd have to publish in other languages that have to do with emergencies or safety, but you know, our official language is English. But it's not an attempt to say that our culture is never going to change. We have, I mean, you've got Texas now, I think, is more Hispanic than it is WASP or whatever, you know, and that, you know, influx of immigrants or multi-generational people is going to subtly change the culture of the country. And I'm frankly of the opinion that might be a good thing. I'm worried that there's a bunch of people who are holding their hands out and saying, stop, we're going to always pretend we're not a colony of England, but we're going to behave like England.
Well, I've had the privilege of watching the cultures that have arrived be absorbed and assimilated into the broader American culture and seeing the contributions that they make. And I've had some privilege of traveling, too. A curious thing that happened here just several weeks ago in Germany, Tom, was that I was sitting in a group with a number of Bundestag members, and we were discussing indigenous people. And I looked at them and I said, you know, we're always in the U.S. talking about the policy in Australia with indigenous people. And I knew the answer, but I said, who are the indigenous people here in Germany? And they looked at each other and said, well, we are. Yeah. It was just a curious little vignette.
Or the Neanderthals. You know, because they were first found in Neanderthal Germany, you know.
Well, why didn't I think of that? I was not nimble enough to stop them.
Yeah, it wasn't Neanderthal. It was something tall, Germany. Anyway, yeah. Interesting point. Congressman Steve King, steveking.house.gov is his website. Interesting to have a conversation with you where we're not yelling at each other. Thanks for dropping by.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it.
Good talking with you.